You got another article we can talk about, AJ?
Yeah, this one's actually for Charlie because it's an Amazon article. So
All right, let's do it.
this one's entitled "The Rule." This is from Yahoo Finance. The rule that made Jeff Bezos the richest person in the world. So this article is referring to what is often called the two pizza rule. That was, I guess, it wasn't invented by Amazon, but they called it the two pizza rule. So it's Amazon's two pizza rule now. So they get the claim that it's theirs. But the idea behind it is, and I kind of looked, the article is very small, but I looked into what the article is based on, which is actually an article or an ebook called The Amazon Machine by Benedict Evans. And he goes on to explain what he was at Amazon when it took off. And so he really digs into what this two pizza rule is. In 2002, they instituted the rule where all working teams in the company had to be small enough to be fed with just two pizzas. So in that case, and the theory is that if you keep the team small enough, there's not this wasted time of focus groups and unnecessary meetings and meeting in a central location. It's a very small, dedicated team. And so I wanted to look at what they were building those teams for. And so what they were building those teams for were the launch of new product segments or commodities. And at Amazon, they don't look at individual products like GE light bulbs, which we'll talk about later, or cleaning products, household cleaning products. Do we have Clorox and all these other wipes that you have? It's the whole segment. So household goods or menswear in different areas, Germany, US, or whatever. And so when they were launching these new categories that they consider commodities, not the individual products themselves, they would devise a team, a very small team of about 4 or 5 people, often without experience in e-commerce, or even the segment of the commodity that they were launching. And they were basically given a budget and an autonomy, and the only reporting that went directly to a very high up, basically Jeff Bezos and this guy, to review the progress and what they were doing in real time through these e-sheets that happened. And this is as far back as 2002. So I guess the reason why I bring it up is, do you guys think that this would work in like an accounting firm or in regular business? Or is this kind of one of those things that's, more for a commodity dealer, I guess, like Amazon? Do you think that small team, small input output kind of a targeted team works in a different environment other than
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely works in a wide variety of businesses. I think um, it it sounds to me, or it strikes me as like the perfect juxtaposition to this kind of culture we have in business today of ultimate collaboration, right? I mean, there's this culture in corporate America of, oh, you got to collaborate, you got to get everybody, on the page. In some cases, we got to get the whole company together, and we got to all collaborate on this or that. And I just, maybe controversial for me to say, but I just kind of reject that thinking altogether, because I think collaboration has its place. There's a certain amount of collaboration when it comes to doing some research and discussion and making sure that you're open to different ideas. But when you're actually trying to get something done, my dad always had this saying that a camel is a horse put together by a committee. And so the thought, there is that and I was just watching another YouTube show and podcast. Maybe I'll find the name of that and shoot it to our producer Ethan to put in the links here. But they were interviewing a guy named Parker, who is the founder of the company Zenefits. And he said this too. He was talking about when they kind of roll out something new, that having it in one person's head and working through it is a lot more efficient than kind of trying to do it by some big committee. So, I mean, I think, in a company like Amazon, you're doing a new, it sounds like it's an attempt to split the difference on these two frames of thought, right? I mean, they're not bringing it down to just saying, hey, one dude, here you go, you come up with a new product and it's all on you. They still have a team, but they're trying to scale it down to what they found to be an effective size team that doesn't have collaboration bloat, and that makes total sense to me.
Yeah, what they said was the quote from the article was decentralized distribution of invention throughout the company, not only the leaders, is the only way to get a high, robust throughput innovation. And so the idea is, yeah, we're going to split it up to smaller teams that can make the decisions autonomously. He had even acknowledged in there that he said that we know that doing this leads to a lot of flops, because when you have small teams, a lot of times they go down the wrong path and they make something that wasn't a win. But his response to that was that, well, failure comes with invention. It's not optional, and you're just trading off the weaknesses of the approach with the need to innovate. And so yeah, I think it's a good rule. I think it applies to a lot of different companies, and I can say that I've personally worked in a company where having so many people involved in a single decision can lead it to a complete stop, because everyone has an opinion and you just get too many people who can't agree. And so I think it's good at stopping that problem.
I think for me, it kind of, and to Ty's point, it kind of strikes that right balance between oversaturation and like homization of ideas in a corporate setting where there's like focus groups and you're trying to please everybody that's involved in the process. You're kind of whittling that down to enough people where hopefully the good ideas pop out. But then it's not just one person driving, it's not just one person driving it from beginning to end, and there's some kind of oversight on the process. And so I think it does strike the right balance between that, because I've definitely been in situations, and I think I take that back. I think it depends on the type of work that's being done as well. Often when we're working, like if you're talking about a public accounting firm, for instance, and you're talking about an audit team, the reason a team is needed for an audit isn't because it's not that a partner or one staff person couldn't do the work. It's the amount of work required within a specific time frame that builds out the necessity to have team members do it, a division of labor to make sure that the items. But again, you're not talking about a new process or a new product or anything like that. You're talking about doing the same work over and over again. So I think when you're talking about a new segment or a new idea or a new kind of product line or a pivot, you probably need more people involved with that, just for the idea collaboration and to smooth out any rough spots that somebody might have blinders on if they're just speeding full speed toward an answer that they think they've glommed onto.
Yeah, totally. And the other thing that I've seen that I think is in line with this principle, but wasn't in the article, is I've heard the saying that they were going to do meetings, but you're going to talk with your feet. And so basically, if you don't feel that you belong in this meeting, you should get up and leave and go do what you feel is useful to you. And that's a similar way of like, let's cut the bloat down to where it's just the people who actually care about the topic. So yeah.
And I'm sure we can all agree that like too many meetings, I mean, the same problem comes up over and over and over again when it should have been addressed the first time that we had the meeting to discuss the problem. And so too many voices in it, I think, drag it down to a point where nothing gets accomplished and they're just meeting to meet.
I agree.
So perhaps instead of walking away during these times, it's turning your screen off in the Zoom session.
Yeah, if you
going to the blank screen, turning the video off.
You got nothing to say, just mute your mic and
right. Just mute your mic.
Yeah.
Stop video, let that default picture come up and listen, or continue to work on something else.
At least put some of those like goggles with fake eyes on and just, look like you're present.
Right? Yeah.